Hello, welcome back to Nick Lange's Comic Corner, classic slash non-classic. This is episode number 216, Doubleshot number 149. One Batman, one Black Canary stuff. Yeah, first Black Canary trade. First up, it's the big Batman trade, Batman War Games, Book 1. This book covers a lot of stuff. Let's go over it. This book covers Detective Comics, 790 to, where's it stop at? Here it is. 797. Robin, 126 through 129. Batgirl, 53 and 55. Solo number 10. Legends of the Dark Knight, 182. Batman Gotham Knights, 156. Catwoman, Volume 3, number 34. And Batman 631 and the 12th adventure, which starts up the whole War Games crossover. Most of this book that goes from 790, the comics 790 up until it stops at Robin 220, not Robin 228. Let's see. Yeah, basically about Robin 128. That's basically all the setup and everything that helps sets up the whole War Games crossover, including the War Drums. Basically, this trade is a combination of two trades, which is basically War Drums and the first trade for the original trade for Batman War Games. They combine both trades into one, along with some other stuff. But this book is heavy. It's a really thick book. And despite its $35 price tag, which is well worth it because there's a lot of comics in here. And yes, that cover is done by Jay Lee. Yeah, it's a Jay Lee cover. Now, the writers in here, there's a ton of writers. The Detective Comic issues are written by Anderson Girbish. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Robin is done by Bill Whittingham. Batgirl is done by Dylan Hodricks. Solo, the solo issue, is done by Damian Scott and Rudy Carter. I think that's how you pronounce that person's name. Sorry about that. The 12 Cent Adventure is done by Devin Grayson. Does not sound familiar. The Legends of the Dark Knight issue is done by A.J. Liberman. Nightwing is done by Devin Grayson. Gotham Knights is... Okay, I just say Gotham Knights. Let's see. Bill Willingham is also doing Batman, and Edward Baker is doing Catwoman. Pretty much like you have... So basically, when you read this, you get all the setup plus the first act of War Games, which the whole thing... This particular storyline basically was... you have also what happened to pages of Robin. Now, at the beginning of the story, Tim Drake is not Robin at this point. He had retired from being Robin because his father found out that he was Robin for years. So, Stephanie Brown took over the position as Robin. She was pretty good at Robin for a very brief period of time. It's basically, officially at this point, she had been the fourth Robin. And then she got fired for using deadly force to save Batman's life on their second or third mission together. The first time they went out, basically, when she disobeyed, he didn't punish, he didn't fire her right away. He did give her a second chance. But then at the end of the story, basically, she does get fired. There's even a team up between her and Cassandra Cain, who was Batgirl at this point in time. But basically, about 2 years after the story ended, pretty much the Batgirl series ended, while everything else went on. Pretty much like 2 years after the story wrapped up, both Batgirl Volume 1 ended, along with Gotham Knights. Robin, Catwoman, and Batman, Detective Comics, they'll continue for a good period of time. Robin continued for another 3 years at this point. Yeah, I believe the book had continued for another 3 years. Well, Robin continued for another 4 years. Actually, it was 5. Yeah, Robin continued for another 5 years. Catwoman, Volume 3 continued for 4 years before he was retired. Nightwing continued basically just Robin and Nightwing basically continued for 5 years. Legends Dark Knight ended 2 years after this story ended. And Batman Detective Comics were relaunched 7 years after the story ended. But this is a really good story to read. I don't want to spoil anything of this, but I do recommend this. I also want to say they also get the first appearance of Onyx. If you ever seen the movie Batman Bad Blood, which has the African American bald African American woman who works with Talia, yeah, just prior to the story starting in Detective Comics 795, that is her first appearance in the comics. So you get one debut, you get two debuts. Prior to the start of the story, after Stephanie Brown, who had been Robin, fired and then returned being spoiler. Catwoman does play pretty much all the Batman characters play a part in here. Even Tarantula, and this is just by coincidence. 3 issues prior to this very story, 3 months prior to this very story, in the pages of Nightwing, she had raped Nightwing in issue 93. Now, according to Devin Grayson, she says that the sex was not consensual. But everybody else pointed to the fact that she raped Nightwing. But Devin Grayson would not, despite like Devin Grayson is a good writer, she would not admit that a character she created raped a longtime character. And by the way, that was one of 2 times that that happened to him. That also happened in the pages of New Titans, the Marvel Open Era. Yep. But despite that, she's pretty much in character, but she stays away from Nightwing throughout most of the story anyways. But this is still a fun story to read. I know it has a bit of a controversial ending to it, which, thank God, they actually retconned that with the Gotham Underground miniseries, with the finale of this verse. But this is still pretty good. I can't wait for the library to get book 2, because this is still a great story to read. And this was the first really big crossover of this caliber. Probably the first time since the Fugitive, probably of something this thick and something that spreads out Gotham City. I would say this is the first one since No Man's Land. Yeah, it had been 4 years since No Man's Land, and this is first really big storyline. Though they did have a couple crossovers since then, but this is still really good. All right, next up is probably the first of 2 trades for this volume of Black Canary. This is Black Canary, Volume 1, Kicking and Screaming. And this book collects the first 7 issues of Black Canary, Volume 4. She had 3 volumes prior to this. 2 that came out in the 90s. 1 lasted for 4 issues. The other lasted for 12. The 3rd volume came out just prior to the Green Arrow Black Canary series. This book also collects the sneak preview of the DC sneak peek. I don't know which series it's from, but it's just a DC sneak peek. Basically, the sneak peek helps set up the series, and basically Diana Drake decides to go by the name Dee Dee in the series when she's and the name Black Canary. That's why that's her code name. It's the name of her band. It's basically Black Canary and her adventures of her rock band, the Black Canary. So the show comes the Black Canaries. But despite that, you also get appearances by Amanda Waller, her ex-husband Kurt Lance. And the writing in here is done by Brandon Fletcher, who was the writer of Batgirl, and the artwork in here is done by 2 writers, Ann Wu and Pia Guerrero. I think that's how you pronounce the name. Here's a sample of the artwork. The artwork is actually pretty good. I mean, it's not a terrible series. I was actually looking forward to the series when the series was announced, and if you look at all the DCU titles, if you read this book, you can see this is one of the very few good titles that started from the DCU lineup, from the new number 1s they had launched. And from what I've heard, they are planning on canceling the series, presumably with issue 12, just so they could put her in the Batgirl and Birds of Prey series, which kind of bugs me. Batgirl could have an ongoing series, but Black Canary can't. I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Titans. I mean, Nightwing's getting his series back, but yet Starfire can't keep her own ongoing series. They have to end it. They can't have Marv Wolfman write this series. But for this series, Brandon Flesch does a great job writing Diana Drake. And no, this is not the same Black Canary that was in pre-Flashpoint that existed since the 70s. That one was Denny Neilcrease. This is basically the post-Flashpoint version of the original Black Canary from the Golden Age. And the one thing I do love about this title is the fact that they kind of have her wearing an outfit. Her outfit, well, this right here. Here's a better look at her outfit. It kind of does look like her pre-Flashpoint outfit because you got the fishnet stockings. Thank you for the artist bringing that back, because not a lot of people liked her her outfit when the DCU started, but I'm glad the fact they finally get back her fishnet stockings. Because that's one of her trademark parts of her look. I mean, when you look at this look right here, this is kind of like a punk-ish look. She's kind enough for wearing this, and yeah, and but you can kind of say this is kind of like DCU's take on Gem and the Holograms. That's how you can simply put it, because it's Black Canary's band against some rival band. That's the driving force of the series, but the book does end with the actual title character, Black Canary, getting kidnapped and taken to a foreign country, which I will review when the second trade comes out what happens there. But despite that, this is actually still pretty good. I do recommend this basically to people who are fans of Black Canary. I mean, yes, she's the leader of a rock band, and yes, her group does get into fights. There's a lot of property damage, but this is still a fun series. And despite the fact this is not the Black Canary who married Green Arrow pre-Flashpoint, it's still a good series. Yeah, I do highly recommend it. I give this book a 9 out of 10. War Games, I give that one also a 9 out of 10 as well. This is good. Alright. Stay tuned for the next episode, which should be episode 217, and hopefully another double shot, okay? Until then, see you there. Bye.